Okay, good evening, welcome to another awesome episode of Dinner at Jill's. And tonight I've got a friend just travelling through as they do, and they always stop past my house for something to eat. So we're at Jill's tonight, and I used to work with this friend many years ago, back in a restaurant in the city of Cardiff, and it was traditionally sort of Mexican, Latin American style restaurant. So that gave me the idea just to rekindle the old memory of where we used to work together. And we're going to have dinner tonight, and I'm going to make some fajitas. So we're going to do some chicken, beef and prawn fajitas. Now, fajita is traditionally a Mexican snack or dish, and it's quite spicy. So I've got my flour tortillas here already, and I've just taken these out of the wrap, and we're going to warm these up in a gentle oven for about 100 degrees. We just leave them in there, turn them occasionally so they don't go crispy, and then we'll get on to the preparation of the rest of our dish. To go with our wonderful tasty fajitas that we're going to have this evening, we're going to do a homemade guacamole and a nice homemade spicy salsa. So first off, what I'm going to do is just de-seed some tomatoes. Now this is a really easy job to do, alright, and how I do it is I cut my tomato in half and then just cut it into wedges, and then with my knife I just sort of scoop out the centre of the seeds. But I'm not going to throw these away, I'm going to dice these up and use them in the salsa, alright, but also then just take off that little green sort of woody end and we throw that in a bin. So I'll put my guts in there, and then what we do when we get to this stage is I'm just going to dice these up into a wonderful brunoise style dice, okay? And brunoise is nice and fine. And we're going to then saute these off quickly in our saucepan with another bunch of ingredients, and that's going to be our salsa. But I'm also going to separate a little bit of this tomato as well for our guacamole. I've diced tomatoes now. Now what I've done is I've diced up some tomatoes and just left the seeds in. Now this is going to be our salsa. And I've got some tomatoes here where I've removed the seeds and just used the flesh of the tomatoes, and that's going to give some colour and a little bit of texture to our guacamole. I'm just going to use a little bit of just regular white onion or brown onion, whichever you want to call it. And I'm going to dice this up fairly small, but with salsa we have to cook this, alright? So what I'm going to do is saute this off and with a little bit of pulped up garlic, and then we're going to add our tomatoes, a little bit of coriander, and then some fresh chili, not some fresh chili, some hot chili powder, alright, some cayenne pepper. Okay, so I'm probably going to use a whole onion, and again I'm going to dice this in the same brunoise cut as well, because we want everything to be sort of the nice, same size and shape, alright. So with our garlic, we just give it a little flatten out like that, and that just releases the oil so the skin comes off nice and easy. Now we're going to chop this really nice and fine, but not to a paste, alright, because we do want some sort of chunky bits of garlic in it. So the easiest way, as always, to prepare a capsicum is just slice it straight in half. And then what I do then, just my two fingers, I stick that straight into the guts of the capsicum, and then just rip out the seeds. And then just give it a good tap off over a bin. And that way then you're not losing any wastage from cutting the top and the bottom off, because capsicums can be quite expensive at this time of the year. So we're going to start to saute off our salsa now. So first of all, I've got a nice hot pan here which I've preheated, and I'm going to pop in just a nice little dribble with our diced onions, our chopped garlic and our chopped capsicums. And we're going to saute off this until it's released its flavour. And then we're going to go in with our tomatoes. So our capsicums, our onions and our garlic are sweating off nicely now in this real hot pan. So now I'm going to add our diced tomatoes with all of our seeds and everything in there as well. I'm just going to give that a little toss around. And we're going to cook this down into a chase. So our salsa's cooking down wonderful now. So what we're going to do is add a little bit of extra moisture to this and some extra flavours. So I've got some lemon here, and I'm just going to grate this quickly through my microplane. And also what I'm going to add now is some cayenne pepper, okay? Now cayenne pepper is like a really hot pimento or chili, alright? So just be careful with how much of this that you actually add into your salsa. You can add fresh chili if you like, but I advise to use a powdered chili or a cayenne pepper, because it does dissolve rather quickly and cooks rather quickly into the salsa, because we want to keep them vegetables sort of nice and al dente, still with a little bit of crispiness to them. Just to add a little extra moisture to this, we're just going to put a couple of squeezes of lemon juice in there. Now I've cut my lemons into what we call cheeks, okay? That just makes them a lot easier to squeeze, and plus look at all that juice that you get out of them when you're giving them a squeeze over the pan. Just to finish this salsa off now, I've just got some fresh chopped parsley, and we're just going to sprinkle that in there. And this is going to give us a wonderful vibrant colour for when we're ready to eat. Okay, so what I've got here is a peeled red onion, and I've cut this straight in half. So I'm just going to use the one half, again in that really small brunoise diced cut again. We're going to pop this in with our tomatoes for the guacamole. Just make them really fine slices of onion. So there's nothing worse when biting into a salad and you've got way too thick a piece of onion in there, because that just kills the flavour of anything else that's in your salad. And I must be honest, it really is quite off-putting. Okay, so there we are, nice and finely julienne. We're just going to crush this up and just sprinkle them straight into our rocket. Next, into our guacamole, we've got our lemons. You can use limes as well for this, but at this time of the year they can be a little bit expensive. But using my microplane, I'm just going to run off all the fine zest from our lemons on the outside. Now we're going to go to the avocado element of our guacamole. Now the easiest way to prepare an avocado is just where you see the sort of stumpy bit on the top. If you slice that direct in half, you're going to meet the big stone that's in the centre, and then just turn it around on your knife until it joins up on the other end. And then the simple way then is just twist it and unearth the stone that's inside. And the easiest way to remove the stone from the avocado, you can dig out with a spoon if you like, or try and prise it out with your fingers, but the easiest way is just a little click like that with a knife, and then just a twist and avocado. Now we're going to take the skin off the avocado, and how I do that is I do it using a spoon, okay? So I stick in the fat end, or the bottom end of the avocado, stick my spoon in, and just run it all the way along the skin, down either side of the avocado, and then just basically scoop out the centre, and that is it. It's as easy as that. I'm just going to get a regular block grater, and I'm going to run it through the thick edges on the block grater. And this is just going to make sure that our avocado is nice and mashed up, but then still a little bit chunky as well at the same time. And that's how we do it. It's as simple. We've got all our avocado pulp in there, our diced tomatoes, diced onions, lemon zest, lime juice. What we're going to do now is we're going to chop up some coriander lime juice into our salsa as well. And there's a reason why we do that. It's because avocado, when you expose it to the air, actually starts to oxidize, okay, and turn sort of a greyish, blacky colour. So that's why we put the lime juice or lemon juice into our salsa. And just to finish this off now, I'm just going to give it a twist of freshly milled pepper. And then we're going to stir this in and just let it sit for a little while in the fridge, just so all those flavours sort of infuse. We're going to get on to preparing our meat. So I've got some wonderful nice stir-fry strips of beef here, that's all you need, and a little bit of chicken breast strips as well. And as you can see, I'm seasoning here. Now Cajun seasoning is, although traditionally from the sort of southeastern regions of the United States and the Caribbean, but Cajun food also comes from a little bit of influence from the Mexican region. And in the air, because it's got all the herbs and spices that you could possibly think of that you will need. It's got dry rosemary, chili peppers, cayenne peppers, you name it. A little bit of our favourite, long chopped garlic. And then we're going to go over to the wok very shortly and start sort of searing all of this off. Also, what I've got to go with our chicken and our beef is I've got some wonderful prawn cutlets here. But what I'm going to do is, as you normally do when you're buying prawns or peeled prawns, sometimes they come with a little tail shell on. So I'm just going to give them a little squeeze off like that and remove the tail shell. Stove now, and I've got a wok on the stove, okay, so the best way to cook this dish is actually in a wok, just like what the Chinese do. And I've got this preheated on the highest maximum temperature, so I'm just going to put a little splash of grapeseed oil in there. Don't forget, we've already got oil in our prawn marinade. So we're going to start our prawns off first. Prawns are really getting juiced up and cooking in our lovely hot wok here, so we're just going to season them a little bit with just some freshly milled sea salt. And then we're at the stage now where we're ready to add some vegetables in there. So we've got all our capsicums and our onions and everything already chopped up into nice. So we're just going to add our vegetables in there, our capsicums and our onions. And then what we're going to do is just give them, again, just that wonderful toss. Now we only want to cook these very slightly al dente, okay, so they're still nice and crispy. Which means once you've given them a bit of a shake around in the wok, they're pretty much ready to serve up. And here we go, just stick it straight onto a serving platter like this. Just finish that off with a sprinkling of fresh coriander. Go through the whole process again now, and we're going to do this then with beef and then chicken. So again, in with our grapeseed oil so it's nice and hot. And like I said earlier on, we've got our beef ready marinated here. Straight in there with our beef. And you can smell all that flavour coming out straight away. We've got one more dish to go. Again, repeat the process, but this time we're going to do chicken. And I've got our chicken strips here all nicely marinated. And again, the same again, we get our chicken in there, and once that's sealed off, we throw in our vegetables. And again, there goes my washing up. And then we're almost ready to eat. And so here we are now with our chicken, which is perfectly cooked. We're just going to pop that straight onto our plate. Now we're very close to eating now here at Jill's house for dinner this evening. And I like to dedicate this dish anyway to my good friend Anya Flynn from South Wales in Cardiff. And Anya and I used to work together in a Latin American restaurant. So I've done this dinner for us tonight just in a special honour of her coming to visit me here in Australia, and what a wonderful time it's been. So I'm going to go into my oven now and get our prawns and our beef, and we're going to get our flour tortillas out as well, and I'll show you just how to wrap it. We're just going to wrap things up right now. Wrap it up. Of course, we're going to make a wrap. So I've got a wonderful, nice, fresh tortilla straight from the oven, nice and warm. And we've got our lovely little rocket salad. Remember that we made that earlier on. Now I'm just going to give a very light drizzle of olive oil on that, just to lubricate it a little bit. And then just to finish that off as well, just a twist of cracked black pepper, because that works real well with rocket, because rocket is a real peppery leader. So I just take a blob of our sour cream and just rub that into our tortilla, as you can see there. But the question is now, decisions. Which one am I going to have? Well, I reckon I might just start off with maybe a prawn fajita, because I think Anya's been waiting a really long time for her dinner now, so I'm going to sort of hurry up and get her fed. So here we go. I'll put some rocket and some red onion in there. And then we're going to take a nice big dollop of sour cream, or not sour cream, of our guacamole, rather. A nice big dollop of guacamole. Straight in the centre. And a spoonful of our lovely spicy salsa. And then what we do is we get some of our wonderful crisp vegetables and then lovely opaque prawns, and we slide them on the top, just in the middle. And then just to finish it off, we're going to take a lovely little pinch of shredded cheese. And then what we do is we roll things over like this, nice and tight, until we have a wonderful fajita wrap. And then just to serve it, we slice that straight in half. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Bon appetit, another Chef Karl treat. And I hope you're going to enjoy these as much as I do. And I'll see you next time at Dinner at Jill's.